1 Introduction. My name is Donna. I am 27 years old. I work in a quiet cafe. It is a small place. My days are usually calm. Nothing special happens. I serve coffee to the same faces every day. My life is very simple. One night it was raining very hard. I finished work late and missed my usual bus, so I had to take the last train home. This night was different. It was the night my life started to change. I did not know it then. I found a seat on the train. A man sat across from me. He wore a dark coat. He was very silent. His eyes were cold but curious and they caught my attention. He did not smile, just looked straight ahead. I wondered who he was. The train moved through the rain. The steady sound of the train filled the air. I kept looking at the man. He did not speak or move much. His quietness made me feel strange. I felt a mix of interest and a little fear. This was not a normal train ride. I learned his name was Brian later. At that moment, he was just a stranger with cold, curious eyes. My evenings were usually quiet and predictable. But this night, on the last train, everything felt new. It felt like the beginning of something important. This man, Brian, was going to change my simple life. He would turn my calm world into a big storm. I did not know what was coming. I only knew that this rainy night on this last train was the start. It was the moment my quiet life began to move in a completely new direction. I did not know how much my life would change or how important this man would become, but I felt it. The air on the train felt different. This was the beginning to a new friend. The train stopped. The doors opened with a soft sound. I stepped out onto the platform. The air was cool and still. Brian walked beside me, matching my steps. I did not know what to say. He was a stranger, yet he was walking with me. We passed empty benches. The station lights were dim. Then he spoke. Donna, he said my name. My heart jumped. I stopped walking. How did he know my name? I looked at him. His eyes were calm. I had never seen him before. How do you know my name? I asked. My voice was quiet. He looked straight ahead. I knew your brother, he said. Years ago before he died. My older brother, he had died a long time ago. This was a shock. My brother never talked about his friends. I did not know any of his friends from that time. Brian knew my brother. It was a strange feeling. I felt nervous. Who was this man? Why was he here? Why was he talking about my brother now? We walked out of the station. The street lights were yellow. The rain had stopped, but the ground was wet. Can we talk more? Brian asked. His voice was low. I thought for a moment. My mind said no. He was a stranger. But something else in me wanted to say yes. There was something about him. His face was not ordinary. It was a face you would remember. He seemed serious but also kind. I felt a strange pull. I nodded. Yes, I said. We can talk more. He did not say anything else that night. He just nodded and walked away into the darkness. I went home. My small apartment felt different. I thought about Brian and my brother. Sleep did not come easily. The next day, I went to work at the cafe. It was a normal morning. I made coffee. I served the usual people. The clock moved slowly. I wondered if Brian would come. I did not truly expect him. He was just a man from the last train. But then in the evening, the bell above the door rang. Brian walked in. He wore the same dark coat. He looked around the cafe. His eyes found me behind the counter. He walked to my counter. He did not ask for coffee. He did not ask for tea. He just stood there. He looked at me with his calm, serious eyes. My hands felt a little shaky. The cafe was quiet. Only a few people remained. He leaned a little closer. I need to tell you something important, he said. His voice was very quiet. It was a secret. I waited for him to speak more. 3. A secret message. Brian sat across from me in the quiet cafe. His eyes were serious. He did not order coffee. He leaned forward. His voice was low. He said, "I am in danger, Donna." My heart beat faster. I looked around. No one seemed to be listening. Brian continued, "People are watching me. I cannot trust anyone." He looked directly at me. His look was strong. I felt a chill. Was he telling the truth? It felt very real. He was not joking. "You must not tell anyone that we have met," he said. "This is important for your safety and for mine." He spoke slowly, making sure I understood. I nodded. I felt a mix of fear and a wish to help him. My life was always calm. Now it felt like a door was opening to a new unknown world. I was inside this secret. Then Brian took a small plain envelope from his coat pocket. It was white. He put it on the table. "Take this," he said. "You must only open it if something happens to me. Do not open it before then. Promise me." His voice was serious. I looked at the envelope. It seemed normal, but I knew it held a big secret. I picked it up. It felt cold and heavy. I put it carefully inside my apron pocket. Brian stood up. He did not say goodbye. He just looked at me one last time. It was a deep, sad look. Then he walked out of the cafe. I watched him go. The cafe felt quiet after he left. My hands shook a little. I touched the envelope. What was inside it? What did he mean by "if something happens to me"? Questions stayed in my mind. I finished work. The cafe closed. I walked home slowly in the dark. The night was quiet. Every shadow seemed to move. I felt like someone was watching me. Maybe it was just my imagination. Maybe Brian's words had made me afraid, but I could not stop thinking about what he had said. When I got home, I put the envelope in a safe place. I did not open it. I remembered his words only "if something happens to me." I tried to read, but I could not focus. My mind was full of Brian, his serious face, his warning, the secret envelope. I went to bed, but I could not sleep. I tossed and turned for hours. The night was long. I felt afraid, but also pulled towards his secret. His words had changed my quiet world forever. I knew my life would not be simple anymore. I felt it would be something big. Hiding the papers. Brian started to visit me more often. We never met at the cafe where I worked. Instead, we found quiet corners in the town. We met in hidden places far from curious eyes. We always stayed away from other people. Brian began to share his past with me. He told me about his family. His family was very rich with a lot of money and power. But Brian did not like them. He said his father's business was not honest. It was corrupt. His stepmother was even worse. He said she wanted all of Brian's money. She wanted his inheritance, which was money he would get from his father. She wanted to control everything he owned. As he talked, I felt a deep sadness for him. I understood that he felt very alone in the world. I knew that getting close to him was risky. It could bring danger into my simple life. But still, I wanted to help him. I felt a strong need to protect him. One day, Brian asked me for a big favor. He had some important papers. He told me he needed a safe place to hide them. He looked at me with serious eyes and asked me to hide them for him. I thought about his request carefully. This was a big secret, bigger than anything I had known. It could be very dangerous for both of us. But I said yes. I knew I had to help him with his secret. That night, we went to my apartment. My apartment was small. We needed to find a good hiding spot. We looked around the room. Then we found a loose floorboard near the wall. We carefully lifted the wooden board. Brian took out a thick brown envelope from his coat. It was full of the important papers. He gently placed the envelope into the dark space under the floor. Then we pushed the floorboard back down into its place. It looked normal again. No one would ever know it was there. My heart was beating very fast. I felt like I was now part of something very big and secret. It was a secret just for Brian and me. I hoped the papers would be safe there forever. I hoped no one would find them. Brian looked at me. He did not say many words, but his eyes showed me that he was very thankful. We both knew this was a big step for us. It made our connection stronger. I was no longer just a quiet cafe worker. I was helping Brian. I was keeping his dangerous secret. This was a new path for my life. It was a dangerous path, but I felt ready. I felt a strange mix of fear and excitement. The small space under my floor now held a very big secret. A secret that could change everything. I wondered what was written on those papers. Brian did not tell me everything yet, but I trusted him completely. I felt that I needed to help him. His loneliness was clear to me. He needed someone to stand with him, and that someone was me. The papers were safe. For now, they were hidden. I hoped they would stay safe forever. This was a big risk for me. But I felt it was the right thing to do. My life was not quiet anymore. It was full of secrets and danger, but also a strange kind of purpose. 5. An offer of money. One afternoon, the cafe was quiet. Only a few customers sat at tables drinking coffee. The door opened slowly and a woman walked in. She was very elegant. Her clothes looked expensive and formal. She had a cold look in her eyes. It was Brian's stepmother. I knew her from Brian's stories about his family. She walked straight to my counter. She did not smile at all. She asked me to sit with her at a small empty table in the corner. I felt a strange nervous feeling in my stomach. I slowly walked to the table and sat down across from her. She looked at me without any warmth. Then she pushed a piece of paper across the table. It was a contract. My eyes saw very big numbers written on the paper. It was a very large sum of money. The contract clearly stated that I must leave Brian. It said I must never see him again. If I signed it, all that money would be mine. My hands began to shake a little. This was a lot of money, more than I had ever seen. It could change my life. I could buy many things. I could stop working in the cafe. But then she started to speak. Her voice was low and steady, almost a whisper. If you truly care for Brian, she said, you will leave him. Being with him will only bring you trouble. It will destroy your life. He is a dangerous man. My family is dangerous. This money is for your own good. It is a way out for you. Think about your future. Think about your safety. Her words were sharp. They tried to make me afraid. They tried to make me think only of myself and the money. I looked at the contract again. The numbers seemed to grow larger on the page. A small part of me wanted the money. It was so much. It was more money than I could imagine. But then I thought of Brian. I thought of his kind eyes. I thought of his secret. I thought of his loneliness. He needed me. He had trusted me with his life. He had trusted me with his important papers. He had no one else to help him. How could I leave him for money? How could I betray him? My heart raced fast. I remembered the rainy night we met on the train. I remembered his stories about his past. I remembered how he looked at me always with a quiet trust. I did not want her money. I did not want to be without Brian. I picked up the paper. My hands were steady now. I looked at her cold face. Then I tore the contract in half. The sound was loud in the quiet cafe. I stood up. I did not say a word. I turned and walked away from the table. I walked away from the money. I walked away from her. I chose Brian. I chose to stay with him no matter what. 6. Running away. Strange things began to happen. Life was not quiet anymore. After Brian's stepmother visited the cafe, everything changed. I felt watched. It was a new bad feeling. First I saw a black car. It was always there. When I left my apartment, it was there. When I walked to the cafe, it was there. At night, it followed me home. The car was dark. I could not see the people inside, but I knew they were watching me. It made my heart beat fast. I felt like a small bird. Then my manager at the cafe told me, someone called today. They asked about your work hours. It was strange. I knew who it was. Brian's stepmother wanted to know my every move. She wanted to find me alone. The danger was getting closer. One evening I was leaving the cafe. It was late. The street was dark. Rain began to fall. I walked quickly. Suddenly, two men came out of the shadows. They were big. They tried to grab my bag. My heart jumped. I was so scared. I could not scream. But then Brian was there. He appeared very fast. He pulled me away from the men. He was strong. Brian did not say a word. He just pulled me and we started to run. We ran very fast. The rain fell hard. We did not stop. We ran past shops and houses. We ran through the wet streets until we reached the train station. The last train was there waiting. We quickly got on. Our clothes were wet from the rain. We sat down together. Brian held my hand. His hand was strong and warm. My body still shook from fear. Brian looked at me. His eyes were serious. "My stepmother found the papers," he said. My heart sank. But then he said, "But she does not know you have copies." A small light of hope came into my mind. We were safe for now, but we were running away. We did not know where we were going. 7. The real story. The train moved fast through the dark night. Rain hit the windows. Inside it was warm and quiet except for the sound of the train. Brian sat across from me. He looked tired but also calm. He began to speak. His voice was low, but I listened to every single word he said. He was finally going to tell me everything. He explained about the papers we had hidden. These papers were not just old documents. They were very important proof. They showed that his stepmother had done something wrong. She had stolen a large amount of money. This money was not hers. It belonged to Brian. His father had left it to him in his will, but his stepmother had taken it for herself secretly. She had planned to keep it all. Brian then told me about his father's will. There was a special condition in it. To get his full share of the inheritance, Brian had to marry. If he got married, he would gain complete control of his father's money. This was the true reason his stepmother wanted me gone. She did not want him to marry anyone. She definitely did not want him to marry me. If he married, she would lose the money she had stolen. She was very afraid of this. She wanted to stop him from meeting the condition in the will. She wanted to stop him from getting his money back. He looked at me with serious eyes. His hand reached for mine. "Donna," he said softly. "I truly do not care about the money anymore." He squeezed my hand gently. "All that money, it means nothing to me now. What matters is you." His words were like a warm blanket. They made my heart feel full. He had put himself in danger for me. He had shared his deepest secrets. He had trusted me completely. Then he asked me a very big question. It was a question that would change everything. "Will you leave this town with me?" he asked. "We can start a new life somewhere else, far away from all this danger, far from my family's bad ways and their lies." He wanted to find a peaceful place, a place where his stepmother could not find us, a place where we could be truly safe and free. My mind was spinning. My life had been so simple before I met Brian on the train. Now it was filled with danger, dark secrets, and a future I had never imagined. But it was also filled with hope. I thought about my old life at the quiet cafe. Then I thought about Brian, his brave actions, and the trust he had given me. I knew I couldn't go back to my old life. The train began to slow down. The loud sound of the wheels changed. It was coming to the last stop. My heart was pounding very, very hard in my chest. I looked at Brian again. His eyes were waiting, full of hope and a little fear. He waited for my answer. I took a deep breath. I knew what I wanted to do. My answer was clear. It was the only answer for me. 8. A happy ending. We left that night. The old town disappeared behind us. We carried only a few bags. Brian held my hand. We felt a mix of fear and hope. We were starting a new life far away. The train moved fast, taking us from all danger and the difficult past. Brian had an envelope for me, the same one he gave me when we first met. I opened it carefully. Inside, I found old photos of us from the cafe. There were also train tickets to a new place and a small key. It was a key to a new house, a place we would call home. Brian had planned this for us from the very beginning. He thought about a safe and happy future for us from the first day. This knowledge filled me with peace. He wanted us to be safe and happy together. The new house was by the sea. It was small but perfect. We could hear the ocean waves. The air was fresh and clean. We started our new life there, building a quiet and peaceful home. No more strange black cars followed us. No more unknown men watched us. We were finally safe, far from Brian's past. Months passed. The legal case against Brian's stepmother continued. It was a long process, but in the end, the truth came out. The copies of the papers I had hidden helped a lot. They proved she had stolen money from Brian's father. Brian was finally free from her control. He was free to live his own life. He did not need her wealth. We decided to build something new together. We opened a small bookshop in our new town. It was a dream we both shared. We spent our days with stories, helping people find books. Brian loved reading, and I loved the quiet atmosphere and the smell of old paper. Our shop became a happy place. We sold many stories and made new friends. Sometimes when the night was quiet, we would take the last train. We would ride it into the city just to remember. We remembered the first night we met on that same train. That night changed everything. It was the start of our story. We would look at each other, smiling, knowing we had found our happy ending. Our journey had been long, but it led us here.